And joining us now on yesterday's hearing, Consequences, and truly mainly to understand what's next, is founder and president of the Shurat Hadin Law Center, Nitsana Darshan-Leitner. Nitsana, with so much riding on this decision, how long do you expect it will take for the court to issue a verdict?
Basically, the Chief Justice, Esther Hayut, he's finishing its term in October. However, she has 3 months to write any decision she's left over. So it can last until January for the court to come down with the decision.
Take us to the behind the scenes of the hearing. You know, over 10 hours, 9 months in one moment. What happened there?
Look, the petitioners filed a petition saying that the Knesset, by legislating a basic law that cancels the authorization of the court to make any act of the government void based on non-reasonable clause, should be void. That's the argument. And the court has questions to both sides about this issue. The court asked the petitioners, perhaps I agree with you, but who gives me, the court, the authorization to cancel a basic law? That's one thing. The other thing is asking is how deep this cancellation of reasonable clause goes down to the bottom of democracy, that Israel will not remain democratic after this legislation of basic law. A hard question on the petitioners. On the respondents, which are the government, which is the Knesset, which is Knesset member Simcha Rotman, the head of the Constitution Committee, the court asked, you are actually canceling a right of the citizen to approach us, the court, when his rights are violated. Why do you want to do that? Doesn't it harm democracy? If you agree that there is a duty for the authority, for the government, for the Knesset, or any council to act with reasonableness, if you agree to this assumption, who will supervise that really the authority will work under a reasonable clause? So that question to both sides, and it was very, very difficult to predict what the court will rule eventually.
Might the court ultimately decide to somehow kick the law back to the Knesset to make changes?
So the court can do one of the three. He can cancel law, saying it harmed democracy, it's unreasonable to legislate this law. You can't take away from authority and cancel totally the law. He can reject the petition, saying the law is lawful, it's okay, or we don't have a right to cancel basic law, and remains it on standing. Or he can do a compromise. He can say, I want to change perhaps one clause of the law, or I want to give it back to the Knesset to perhaps phrase it differently. Or he can say, although I have a right to cancel basic law, this is not the case, because the measure of allowing me to cancel basic law has been so harsh, so hard, so in a measure of destruction of democracy, that this law that the Knesset legislated now doesn't fit this criteria, and therefore it should stand.
You know, much was made of the Declaration of Independence being brought into the arguments. Do the words of the Declaration of Independence have actual legal standing?
So there was an interesting discussion with the court, who actually gives the right to the Knesset to legislate basic laws. Because originally, if you go back to the 50s when the state was created, the Knesset legislated several basic laws that, instead of a constitution, that formed the conduct of the legislative, of the executive authority, of the legislative authority, of the judicial authority, of all the different factors in the country, or Chok HaShvut, which is who is allowed to make aliyah, who's considered to be Jewish according to the Israeli law, etc., etc. Many years pass by, and we see that the Knesset still legislate basic laws. And then comes the question, who gives the Knesset an authority to continue and legislate basic laws? Because if we consider the basic law to be the Constitution, so it was right in the beginning of the state, that's it, it's over, it's done. What the Knesset, which right has the Knesset to continue legislating in? So one of the answers to this question was the Independence Declaration. And there was a very interesting discussion whether it's true, because the government said, with all due respect, the Independence Declaration was written just to establish the state. It doesn't have any legal power. It doesn't have a status of constitution. Nobody meant to give it a power constitution. It was a declaration signed by 37 random people. This is not a constitution. This is not where the Knesset withdraw its power from. And quite frankly, this question rises up every time the Supreme Court has to deal with the sword of the power of the Knesset to legislate basic laws. It's a side issue. It will not affect the ruling of the court this way or another, but it was academic discussion of what gives the Knesset the power to continue legislating basic laws.
Very interesting, Nitsana. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll definitely keep following.
Thank you.